Right, welcome to this Codex review for Skitarii, a new race that's come out, Adeptus Mechanicus. It's been rumoured Codex is now here, so in this video I'm going to run through the Codex here, and this is going to be an army that potentially I could collect. I was sceptical at the start, but looking through the Codex, there's some nice units in there. There's a nice style to the army, so it is definitely one that I may well collect. I look forward to playing against someone who has got this race, but we'll get stuck into the Codex here. We'll look at the units and sort of strategy as well, how I'd go about building a force for these. So Codex Adeptus Mechanicus Skitarii. It's exciting, new Codex, new faction to collect. So it'll be interesting to have a look through this new Codex. I've bought mine from gamingfigures.com. They do Warhammer 40,000 stuff, but at a discounted rate. Just looking at the website, they do 15% off. If your order comes to over £100, they give an extra 5% off on top of that. And then for the UK, it's free postage as well. So you can save quite a bit if you go through gamingfigures.com. That's what I do. And you're able to get your Codex and your figures for a bit cheaper. So just the front cover here again. They've never disappoint here with the artwork. Very nice artwork that Games Workshop do on these new codexes. So immediate colour theme here is what I would be interested in. You've got the red and the white is nice. You've got your metals, your sort of bronze colour, and then you've got this crackling kind of electric blue. That is a lovely colour scheme. So I think that would be the colours that I would go for. Very strong look to them. You know, when you create a new faction, I know they've got a history behind them already and you're able to, there's books out on them and so on, but when you have a new faction, it's nice that they have done them in a unique style, separate from everything else. Even as allies, if you're collecting Imperial Guard Skitarii, I think they're an option to have as allies, definitely. They're quite unique, but we'll get into that as we go along. So you've got this Mars kind of colour scheme here for the bait. The basing on these is very nice. This kind of cracked effect, I think looks very effective. Some of the artwork there, this one particularly, I like the look of. Some Titans in the background. I mean, again, inspiration for an army. You can have an army of Skitarii and then one Titan as your Lord of War. I reckon that would look really cool. And you've got the same colour pattern here echoed throughout. I think that looks brilliant. Just the details there, nice artwork that Games Workshop have done. So you've got the different groups that you can paint from that. Nice bit of artwork that as well. Just overall theme here. I do like the look of it very much. Some bizarre units and weapons. It's been fascinating reading up on them, but we'll get into that as we go through these units. All the colour schemes laid out for you here, which is very helpful for when you're painting. So you've got Mars, Lucius, Agrippina here, Styges 8, Graia, Riser, Metallica. The orange looks quite cool. And they are fighting against the tower. Not many units in this codex, but there's variety within the units. You know, the multiple poses, multiple weapon options. So there is enough variety, I think, in there to create a nice looking force. Oh, as I said, I was sceptical to start off with for these, but the more I've looked at the Codex, the more I've liked them. I mean, these look so cool. Really nice. It's just coming up to the... first thing that struck me interesting, no HQs. All that's compulsory is 2 troops. For these, which is interesting. So for your warlord, you choose like a sergeant or a leader within there to be your warlord. You can, so for it to be bound, it's just 2 troops. You can build up from there. The encouragement is to go for loads of troops. The impression I'm getting from this, it seems like it's like an Italian feel to it. The names like Skitarii, for example, and also there's a lot of references to Roman names and uses as well, which gives me the impression they're basing it on the Roman army, which I know a little bit about. So emphasis on troops. Roman army is going to be blocks of the ancient Romans, Republican Roman army. It's blocks of troops, lines of troops, and they often had the least experience at the front, the Hastati, then in the middle the Principes, sort of the seasoned soldiers, and then at the back the veterans, and they were called the Triarii. So you have those. Now out front you had skirmishers and infiltrators, and at the back you may have your artillery support. And if I built an army of Skitarii, I think I would base it on that Roman model. So I'd have the least experienced, least equipped out the front, and then working your way back to the veterans, and then your artillery right at the very back, and then the skirmishers, the veletae, infiltrating or skirmishing out in front. I think that'd be a cool idea. So it's this kind of, and similar to the Roman army, they weren't heavy on cavalry. You know, their flanks had some cavalry, but the bulk of the Roman force was this block of infantry. So that's echoed here. Even the name Maniple is a reference to the Roman fighting units, were called maniples. So that's what fascinates me, how I could base this army on something's you know, have an historic influence in it and try and fight it, try and use it that way. I think it'd be a fascinating thing to do. Tireless advance. All models from this attachment have the Crusader and Scout special rules. Units from this attachment cannot outflank due to the special rule, but can do as part of a different special rule. So extra bonuses there, Crusader and Scout, which is interesting. So war gear list, we'll come back to that. There's a lot of new weapons here we're going to have a look at, but we'll come back to that as we go along. So first of all, troops then, and you get 2 troop options for Skitarii, and what I'm going to do is run through this and then you'll get an idea of how I would build it, hypothetically, but I'm mightily tempted to go down this route of collecting Skitarii here. So 55 points, you get 5 guys, they're 9 points each, so point or two less than the Tower Fire Warrior. So for that you'll get weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4, which is very, very good, strength for toughness 3, initiative 3, so just standard sort of stat line. BS4 though is good, and then leadership 8, then the 4+ save, which is good. 4+ save is good. So these guys come with radium carbines. Look this up here. So radium carbine is range 18, strength 3, AP 5, assault 3. So it's not bad. It's better than a las gun, I reckon. Also rad poisoning with firing a weapon that's a special rule. To wound rolls of 6 cause 2 wounds on the target, regardless of the target's toughness. Each wound is allocated and saved against separately. So a little bonus there when you roll to wound. Then you'll get an extra 2 wounds, which can help out a bit. Not particularly powerful weapon though for these. I wouldn't rely on that weapon too much, you know, to do too much damage. It's AP 5, which is helpful against targets like Imperial Guard and so on, Tyranids, Hordes. Doctrine Imperatives, we'll come back to that later on. Feel No Pain 6+, I wouldn't really rely on that too much, but it helps a little bit. Relentless is interesting. So they'll be able to fire and advance. Immediately that tells me this army, like the Roman army, you want to advance, like a tireless advance, a steady advance up the table and firing as you go. That's sort of starting to form the sort of overall strategy for this army. I would say that Skitarii, the impression that I'm getting, you can divide armies into different types. Elder, for example, will be an attacking army close up. Same for Tyranids as well, generally. Tau, on the other hand, Imperial Guard, would be armies that stay at the back of the table, try and destroy their opponents from range. Then you have some armies that are sort of in the middle. Necrons, I would say, would be in the middle. It's an army that's happy to advance to the middle of the table and engage in shooting and in close combat. I would say the same for the most part for Skitarii. These carbines are range 18. You've got to get quite close to use them. So I think the strategy for these is advance to sort of the middle of the table, and then a lot of your weapons are going to be in range, and then you just blast away at opponents. If anyone comes too close to a combat, then your army focuses and blasts them away, and you're shooting at other targets. I think that's going to be the overall strategy for this force. Rad saturation. While a unit is locked in combat with one or more models with a special rule, all models in that unit subtract 1 from their toughness. That is good. You find yourself locked in combat with Space Marines, and suddenly those Space Marines are toughness free. Yeah. Then you're almost on level terms. Apart from the 4+ save, 3+ save, it's kind of feel no pain. Yeah. So for 9 points, I think that's good value for points. The Vanguard Alpha, so that's your leader here. He can take ranged weapons, melee weapons, special issue war gear, and relics of Mars. So I'm going to run through these pistols. It's a shorter codex, there's less units. That's going to give me more time to run through these new and unique weapons, and some of them I think are excellent. So you can take ranged weapons here. So we'll look those up on page 72. I think it's fascinating when you come across new weapons and stats here. So you can take an arc pistol, and that's 10 points. It's range 12, strength 6, AP 5 pistol and haywire. That is a superb pistol to take. That is very, very good indeed. Even if you're not firing a vehicle, it's strength 6 anyway. But haywire, that's very good, and it's 10 points. Okay, so I'd be mightily tempted to take one of those. And it looks like the figure here has actually got one. If I'm right, I think so. Okay. Right, other pistols. There's two others. There's a Phosphor Blast pistol here, range 12, strength 5, AP 4. Again, pretty good. Luminogen rule. The unit suffers one or more unsaved wounds. Glancing or penetrating hits caused by weapon. The special rule counts its cover save as being 1 point worse than normal until the end of the phase. Furthermore, units can re-roll the dice to determine their charge range against the afflicted unit until the end of the turn. So it's a handy little rule. One you could easily forget while in the middle of a game, but you knock their cover save down by 1. It's interesting. You'd always have to try and remember that rule, but it suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds. So you've got a hit with a pistol, you've got a wound with a pistol, and then your opponent's got to fail their save. So it's quite a lot. The odds are that that's not going to work. You know, you've got a lot of things to get through there. You might miss, fail a wound, and he'll make his save. But if it works, -1 on the cover save. It's only 5 points to give him that. So that's not bad. The other one is a radium pistol, and it's here. Range 12, strength 3, AP 5, rad poisoning. When firing a weapon, there's a special rule to wound. Wound of 6 causes 2 extra. That's not very good at all. No, I don't think the radium pistol is that particularly good. The carbine, the radium carbine, the radium pistol, I don't rate them too highly. Assault 3 is quite good, don't it? BS4, which is really going to help. But of those pistols, I would say the Phosphor Blast pistol looks pretty good, and the arc pistol is very good indeed. So I'd be highly tempted to take one of those. You can also take melee weapons. You're only going to need to run through these once just to see what they are. So you can take a Taser Goad. It'll give him +2 strength, so it'll be strength 5. It counts as a melee weapon, it's Taser. We can attack this weapon as a special to hit roll of 6. If you get any 6s when you hit, there's a chance you might get 2 additional hits. Okay, not that particularly great. Not really. Next one, that's 10 points for that, so we wouldn't really bother. Power Saw, well, we know what that is. And an Arc Maul, it's 20 points. An Arc Maul, it will give him +2 strength, AP 4, melee, concussive, and haywire. And what's interesting about this, for haywire here, is every hit's going to be haywire, which is very, very cool. because if he's 2 attacks, he gets 1 for weapons, say it's 4 on the charge, 4 attacks, potentially you could dish out 4 haywire hits. You're going to wreck a vehicle. And the overall impression I've got here with Skitarii, there's 2 ways, in 40k there's 2 ways you could try and punch through the armor with a high caliber weapon, which is most of the shooting that's done in 40k. So strength 9 weapon, strength 10, or in close combat something with 2d6 armor penetration, or something that's high strength. Or the other way, which can be just as effective, is haywire. I rate haywire very, very highly in 40k, and Skitarii give you an opportunity to have a lot of haywire capability in your army, and haywire can cause havoc in your opponent's force. And it can be not as expensive as high caliber weapons, so it's a cheeky way of, you've got a land raid, as tough as it is, haywire is going to wreck it. So the arc maul, if you're willing to pay the points, 20 points, is going to give you a very, very effective melee weapon. Even against non-vehicle units, you'll be still at +2 strength, you'll be at strength 5, AP 4. So I think that's very good indeed. So arc pistol, arc maul, your leader's full of haywire, and if he's buried in the unit, you've got to get through the other 9 guys to get to him. So I think that's, and the starting points is so low here. So I would take a unit of 10, I reckon, which will cost you 100 points, and then sort of upgrade your leader to give him those weapons, definitely. So you can take a special issue war gear. There's a number here, 76, refractor field. That's the same as Imperial Guards, a 5+ invuln. Yeah, 5+ invulnerable save. And that will cost you 5 points. Not much cost to it. Tempting. 5 points is not going to cost you too much to do that, but I probably wouldn't bother. Next one is a conversion field. You can't take it with a refractor field at the same time. So the conversion field here. Conversion field gives a 4+ invulnerable save. The end of a phase in which the bearer passes 1 or more invulnerable saves, all units within D6 must test as if they've been hit by a blind. Friendly units can reroll the test. Okay, so you shouldn't be affected too badly by that. And you get 4+ invuln. If this Vanguard Alpha is your army commander, you may want to protect him a bit better. Then a 4+ invuln save is pretty good, and it will cost you 10 points to do it. Then digital weapons. A model armed with digital weapons can reroll a single foul to hit or foul to wound in each assault phase. So to get that reroll, it will cost you 10 points. I probably wouldn't bother with that. It's a lot of points just to get 1 reroll on the dice. So there's plenty of options there. Even though you're lacking an actual HQ, you can equip your army commander quite well. The fact that you don't have HQ, I'm not going to complain. You can just plough the points into your legion. You spend 200 points on a really good leader. Well, you can plough that 200 points, into a decent sized unit of Vanguard here, and have points to spare. So it's helping you divert points or keep points emphasis on the bulk of your force. So I don't think that'd be a problem. So that's your Vanguard Alpha. One Skitarii Vanguard may carry one of the following. An enhanced data tepper. Whenever a unit with enhanced data tepper is affected by a doctrine imperative, we'll come on to that later, all models in the unit add 1 to the leadership characteristic in their profile to the start of your next turn. This is not cumulative, the effects of a broad spectrum data tepper. So if you want to improve that ability, then that will cost you 5 points. And then an Omnispecs. Cover saves taken against attacks made by a unit that contains at least 1 model, so this is going to affect the whole unit, are made of a -1 modifier. I think that's a decent upgrade to take, especially for the weapons I'm going to get onto in a second. But I would take the Omnispecs. Whatever you shoot at, if they're in cover, they're going to lose -1 on their save. Very, very handy indeed. They're in ruins, 4+, suddenly drops to 5+. I think that's a great upgrade to take. And more reliable than that pistol where you've got a hit, you've got a wound, and he's got a failure safe. This one is just guaranteed, and it's for the entire unit, so I see a lot more value in the omnispecs there. Up to 2 Skitarii Vanguard can replace their carbines with special weapons. So next up is the ARC rifle, and there's one of these. There's 3 here. There's one of these that I rate very, very highly indeed. ARC rifle, page 72. It's the ARC rifle here. The other opportunity with Skitarii is, you know, they're an unknown force. Unless someone's read the Codex and played against them, when you go against your opponent, you know, you could shock them with these capabilities. You can hit them with things they're not expecting, which is another fun thing to have. You're up against an unknown opponent. I think this would be great fun. ARC rifle, range 24, strength 6, AP 5, rapid fire, and haywire. And remember, these guys are relentless. So technically, you can fire these weapons and then charge. Yeah, I think Skitarii are very flexible. So as I said, the more I look into these, I think the better they are. So strength 6, AP5 is good enough. Again, remember I was talking about this range 24, you're sort of wanting to advance with these. You've got here a rapid fire haywire weapon, which is a high strength anyway, so this is a superb weapon. And it's 15 points to take. Now this is where it gets interesting. If the squad number's 10, which is what I do, 1 additional Skitarii may replace his radium carbine with 1 item from the special weapons list. So you can actually take 3 of these guys, can actually take these special weapons. And I reckon I would take 3 of them and give them the ARC rifles. So for 45 points, you've got 3 of them armed with very effective haywire weaponry. Rapid fire, so at range 24 you're going to be firing 3 shots, and then at range 12 you're going to get 6 shots at strength 6, AP5, haywire. So you are going to wreck vehicles as you advance up. And you're relentless, you can charge in, and your guy armed with the maul and the pistol, he can be effective in close combat, finish a vehicle off, no problem at all. So, and again, you're burying these inside the rest of the unit, and then you combine it with the omnispecs. You've got a vehicle behind a building, it's obscure target, so it's 4+, you're knocking its cover save down by 1 with the omnispecs. So you're looking at about, well, for under 200 points, say 180 points, you can equip this unit to be very, very effective indeed. So, and not bad in combat. Your opponent's going to lose his toughness here. You fight another Imperial Guard, they'll drop to toughness 2. And you can give your leader decent enough weapons. So, yeah, unless you're going against a really assaulty based on, you know, like Blood Angels, for example, or Elder, if you fight another race, I wouldn't have too much fear about going into, you know, locking horns in combat as well. Plus, you've got that ability of hammering them with a whole load of, you know, rapid fire weaponry and charging. I think that's pretty cool. So, Skitarii Vanguard, yes, I'd have them. I like the sculpts, I like the helmets on them. I think they look really cool. The weaponry is really good. Let's just do the other 2 here. A Transuranic Arquebus, range 60, strength X, AP3, heavy 1, armor bane, and sniper. So this is encouraging you to shoot from distance, to just keep back from your opponent. But I reckon these Skitarii would be good at medium range. So this kind of goes against that. You would be able to fire in advance. You know, you're relentless. You'll be able to do it. But that's going to cost you 25 points a time. If you had 3 of them, that's 75 points spent on 3 sniper rifles. As good as they are, I think Skitarii will be closer, more effective, closer up. And the role for these Vanguard is to be in the front line. So don't think I'll go for these. Still rate the ARC rifle a lot higher. Third option is the Plasma Caliver. That's 30 points. For that you will get, it's range 18, strength 7, AP2, so it's all very good. It's like a plasma, shorter range, but it's assault free. Gets hot, I mean, you gets hot rolls might be a problem, but assault free. 3 shots at strength 7, AP2. Good for taking out Terminators, you know, Terminators, monstrous creatures. That gives you a bit of kick there with that. Okay. So yeah, that is a weapon worth bearing in mind. I think you're going to see how I can use that as we move on. Skitarii Vanguard, so I'm thinking the front rank, which will be the least experienced. So, you know, in the Roman army, to reflect that, I'd have these guys at the front, and then what they're going to come up against first, usually, is if they're advanced to medium range, your opponent's deployment zone, he's going to either deploy his vehicles defensively, so they're going to be towards the back, you're going to advance. That's the first thing you're going to come up against, I reckon, most of the time. Vehicles, transport vehicles, or your opponent's going to attempt to drive at you with assault vehicles, tanks and so on. So I think the job for these Vanguard would be to deal with vehicles. So to equip them that way, we'd take the leader with the arc maul, the arc pistol, and then take 3 of the arc rifles and just haywire everything that they can shoot at, and that's their job. And then these weapons are high strength enough to then divert their attention onto other targets, no problem at all. So I take a unit 10, you know, expect them to absorb casualties. These guys are going to at the front, they're going to get hit, but that armor save, that's going to help them out. A little bit of feel no pain mixed in there as well. So I think Skitarii Vanguard, love the models, and I think they can have an excellent role to play in the force. Should speed up now, we know what a lot of the weapons are. Right, Skitarii Rangers is next. So again, troops, 65 points to these. They're 11 points models, so on the same level as Tau Fire Warriors. Same stat line as the Vanguard. They have galvanic rifles. We'll look that up now. You're expecting a better weapon, and I think this one is. A galvanic rifle. It's range 30, so you've got a nice range on this. It's strength 4, AP 4, which is good AP for a rifle. Rapid fire, and remember your relentless, I think these guys, yes. And then precision shots. So every shot that these rifles fire, you've got potential here to ruin infantry units. You've got space marine unit turns up, you can start hammering up against this, the Space Marine Sergeant, for example. I think this is very, very good. You've got your Space Marine Sergeant, your opponent's giving him a power fist, power weapon, you know, melter bombs and so on. There's points buried in there where you can hit him with precision shots. And if you're targeting things like sergeants, not independent characters, but their lookout sir rolls, only going to be a 4+. So you've got potential here to wreck your opponent's upgrades that he's done within his unit. This is very good. This is very good, and you can do that from range. You can imagine your Vanguard at the front and then overlapping them from behind with 30-inch range, giving supporting fire as they advance, is these Rangers with galvanic rifles. The second rank here we're looking at, and they are geared towards taking out infantry, so we want to bear that in mind for kitting them out. So I would take 10, that's 120 points, 110. And then we've been through these here already. I think I'll just give them a standard pistol. I'm not going to focus on haywire now. That's the task of the other units. These are for anti-infantry, so may just take that high strength pistol there. Where is it now? I mean, you give him an arc pistol at 10 points, but I think probably just go for the phosphor blast pistol here. Yeah, straight 5 AP4, it's cool. Now for close combat, maybe gear them towards close combat, power sword, you know, it's no harm. Maybe save points on them and not bother with that, just have purely for shooting support maybe for them. So feel no pain here. These guys have moved through cover, which is helpful enough. But I think it's that rifle you pay for, and it's a decent enough one. So I think that's good value in points for these guys. BS4 again, which is so cool for these Skitarii. Same upgrades here. You can take the enhanced data Teffa and the Omnispecs. May well be tempted to take that again. You know, the AP4, a lot of units are going to lose out on their armour, and they'll be relying on cover, where you can knock that cover down with that. And then up to 2 Skitarii can take special weapons, and then if you have 10 models, then another one can take special weapons. And I think I would, and what I go for with these is anti-infantry unit. I would go for the plasma caliber. I think I would take 3 of them. I can imagine the second rank here, you start to come into contact with, say, medium and heavily armoured troops, or your opponent starts to deep strike stuff behind you, drop pod or whatever. You've got some kind of problem to do with, or there's a monstrous creature that's stampeding ahead. Your haywire weapons haven't had the effect. You need something to hit them hard and take them out. Well, 3 of those, that's 9 plasma shots. Yeah, 9 plasma shots. And just checking here, yeah, this is an assault weapon, so this is not rapid fire. You don't have to get, you've just got to get within 18 inches and you'll get all 3 shots. So it's a very good weapon. Maybe you lose a guy through get assault, but it doesn't matter. If you can accomplish your mission of bringing down that Carnifex or whatever, then it's worth trading and losing a man for that. So I think that's how I do Skitarii Rangers. So you can now get the impression of these ranks of units moving forward and laying down this carpet of specialised firepower and just causing havoc with your opponent. And if they do get engaged in combat, then, you know, not too bad. I think they could stand some chance of keeping themselves alive. Right, so next up is Skitarii and Rust Stalkers. These are elites now. You've got 2 troops, then we go on to elites for these. Quite bizarre models, these ones. Very interesting. So, they are 30 points. You don't get much choice here. You just get 5 of them straight up here. And they're 30 points each. So they're 3/4 the price of a Terminator. See what we get. Weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, it's all good. Strength 4, it's decent enough. Toughness 3, might be their downside there, not too tough. 2 wounds, initiative 4, 2 attacks as standard. Leadership 8, leadership 9 if you take the Princeps. And 4+ saves, not a bad stat line for them. Special rules, bulky, Doctrine Imperatives. June Strider. We'll look up that rule now. June Strider unit with this special adds 3 inches to its maximum move distance when it moves in the movement phase, when it runs, and when it makes charge moves. That is incredibly fast. If you get that in each phase, yeah. So you're going to go, you can move 6, say an open ground move 6, you'll be able to move 9. You'll then be able to run d6 plus 3, and you'll be able to charge 2d6 plus 3. So these are fast moving. So these are your scouts here. They are quick. And again, I can imagine you can deceive your opponent with them. He thinks, oh look, infantry 6-inch move, you know, they're going to take their time. But you can move up fast with them, and that is very effective. That rule is incredible for them. So these are quick moving. Feel no pain. Okay, so that makes up for the lack of toughness here. And they get furious charge. We get strength 5 on the charge. So these guys are pretty good. So you can take special issue war gear. The relics of Mars. That's the Rust Stalker Princeps. So he can take the refractor field, you can give him an invuln, conversion field of 4+ invuln, or digital weapons. That's interesting, give him an invuln save. So he can actually be pretty, this guy here, you can equip him pretty good. The entire squad may replace their transonic razors with cord claws and mine scrambler grenades with 2 transonic blades. So we'll see the 2 options you can take here. So as standard, it won't cost you either. If you swap these around, it's not going to cost you. So the first thing is a transonic razor. Just look that up. They're all on here, so we'll run through them. So transonic razor first of all, this is what they come with as standard. Strength for the user, so you'll be at strength 4, strength 5 on the charge, AP 5, transonic. We're making an attack with a weapon that has the special rule. Any to wound rolls of 6. So you're going to get that with a few, say at 2, 3. Will automatically wound the target regardless of toughness. In addition, during the first round of close combat, any to wound rolls of 6 are resolved to AP2. During all subsequent rounds of close combat, all wounds are resolved to AP2. So these weapons get better on the second round of combat, which is interesting. Usually weapons are better on the first round. So you can get stuck in combat, survive, then your hits are going to be, all hits are going to be AP2 on the following round. Okay. Then the cord claw is just another melee weapon, so it's to give them an extra attack. It is transonic as well, and molecular dissonance when a model equipped for cord claw makes its close combat attacks. One of its attacks is, roll it separately, has the Fleshbane special rule. So that's cool. One of those attacks will be very effective. Interesting. You can swap them out for transonic blades. You can drop the claw, take the blades, and the blade will just give you +1 strength. You'll be at strength 5, strength 6 on the charge, and transonic. So I think they're comparable really, and you see that in the points. It costs nothing to exchange it over. Maybe the Fleshbane would be helpful if you're up against monstrous creatures, a Wraithlord for example. Okay, but no, they're decently armed, and they're designed by the looks of it to get stuck in combat, survive and keep going. So, and they're fast as well, so I think these are good. A Rustalker Princeps with 2 transonic blades may also take a cord claw, so it's going to give an extra attack. So you're looking at a guy here that has 3 attacks, 4 attacks for weapons, 5 attacks if he takes the extra claw, 6 attacks on the charge. So pretty good. And the Rustalker Princeps can take a prehensile data spike. That is the strength of the user, AP 5. It's another melee weapon. So if I get this right here, you can take 4 melee weapons. You're allowed to. Doesn't say there's no restriction, so you give him that. It's another melee weapon. It's haywire, and it makes an additional attack with this weapon. Initiative step 10. This does not grant the model an additional piling move. Interesting. Yeah, so you can load them up to have tons of attacks here for not too much points at all. So yeah, Skitarii and Rustalker. You can't load them out to take extra models. You're stuck at 5, but I think it'd be a very highly effective unit. Start. It's Skitarii and Infiltrators. I do like the look of these. Their helmets look really cool. They're 185 points. These are more expensive. They're an extra 25 points more. Same stat line. They have stud carbines. I'm sort of hoping these guys are really, really good because I like the sculpts on them. Stud carbine. Strength 4, AP dash, assault 3, range 18. Okay, so decent enough weapon. Close range, there's no AP on it. You get 3 shots. Anything here is these aren't pistols. So you're going to lose here on attacks. You're not going to get as many attacks as the Rustalkers. They come with power swords as standard. We know the stats for that. June Striders, these guys are just as fast. They have the Feel No Pain. They have Infiltrate as well, so that's interesting. You can put them further ahead. And they have Stealth, so they're going to get +1 to their cover save, which is also good. Neurostatic Aura. All enemy models within 6 of one or more models with this special rule subtract 1 from their weapon skill, ballistic skill, initiative, and leadership. So kind of a weird effect they have on your opponent. Again, that's a rule that you could easily forget, so you have to remember that when you're fighting. Pretty good. The Infiltrated Princeps can take Special Issue again, and the Rex of Mars. The entire squad may replace their stud carbines and power swords with flechette blasters and taser goads. So, flechette blaster is range 12, strength 2, burst pistol, and shred. So you get 5 shots when you fire. It still counts as pistol. Strength 2, but your shred, so you're going to get your rerolls there, which will be helpful. So it's a decent enough pistol, and they look really cool. I like these pistols here with the long magazine. They look really good. Taser goads. A taser goad will give you +2 strength, and then for every 6 you get an additional 2 hits when you're rolled to hit. +2 strength is going to help you if you maybe want to take on vehicles or monstrous creatures. There's no AP to it though, so remember your opponent is going to get all of his, his armor saves and so on. So, as much as I like the models, I think these guys edge it for me. But I can see a function for both. Definitely. Strength 6, strength 7 on the charge. You can wreck vehicles with them. You can cause a lot of wounds on a monstrous creature, and you just fail his saves, for sheer volume of saves to make. And then against infantry, yeah, no, they're pretty good. Pretty good. Right, next is fast attack. Sidonian Dragoons. They're 45 points each. Weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 5, it's like a walker. Front, side and rear 11. So small arms fight, generally they're going to be impervious to that. Kind of a bizarre looking model, that's for sure. A lot of length in the leg here. Initiative 3, 3 attacks, which is good enough. 2 hull points though, so don't expect it to last too long. They have June Strider here again, so these are fast moving. Incense Cloud, a model with this special counts as obscured, receiving a 5+ cover save. So in the open, they're still going to get that cover save, which is handy enough. They have searchlights. Broad spectrum data tech, I'll just quickly turn that one up. I think this is going to be linked to your doctrinal imperatives. All friendly models with the Skitarii faction within 6 and are affected by doctrinal imperative. Add 1 to the leadership characteristic. Okay, it's fine. And then Taser Lance. Be interesting to see how effective the Taser Lance is. So it's +3 strength, and then +2 model attack on this weapon. Roll doubles its initiative characteristic on the turn in which it makes a successful charge. Okay, and then Taser Lances have 2 profiles for strength. Right, so first turn is +3, and then the second turn is +2. So he's strength 7 on the charge, strength 7, strength 8 on the charge. Again, against vehicles, rear armor, you're gonna smash through. They're pretty good. Okay. Options here. There's a couple you can take. Any model may replace its Taser Lance with a Radium Jazael. So you lose your combat ability with with the lance, and you take the Radium Jazael instead. Range 30, rad poisoning, heavy 2, AP 5. Probably wouldn't bother with that. I think they're better on the charge as like a charge into vehicles and so on. It's high strength there, strength 8 on the charge, and you've got a high amount of attacks, which is cool. Any model may take a Phosphor Serpenta. That's range 18, strength 5 AP4, assault 1. Yeah, probably not that impressed by that, and that's 10 points of time. I'd probably keep their cost down. You get 1 and you can take up to 5, so you could have a unit of 6. It wouldn't cost too much, probably take a unit of 3 and use them to try and knock out vehicles. Not too keen. Out of all the new models that have come out, I'd rate these, wouldn't rate them too much for the design. I like the top half, but they're extremely long legged things, strange looking things. I'm sure they match in with the overall style. Yeah, interesting Sidonian Dragoons. Right, similar design here, but these are Iron Strider Ballistari, or Ballistari. They're heavy support and they're 55 points each. Same stat line as the Dragoons. Crusader again, Dune Strider, precision shots, which is a nice little upgrade to have. But what do you get? The key here, they're designed for shooting. What kind of weaponry have you got for these? Less attacks here, by the way, only 2 attacks for them. A twin-linked Cognis auto cannon. So range 48, strength 7, AP4, heavy 2. It's the same as an auto cannon, but you've got Cognis here. When you make snapshots, it's ballistic skill 2 instead of 1. So you get a bit of an anti-aircraft fire. Would be handy. And what's cool about them actually is that it is twin linked. So you could use them for anti-aircraft roll. Take 3 of them at 6 shots. Twin linked snap firing at BS2. So yeah, you could take on flyers with them. But I'm just thinking here, you're looking at 165 points to do that. There's a lot of points for just chucking out 6 of those shots. And they're sort of made for moving around. So I'm not too keen on these. You can pay an extra 20 points and take a twin linked Cognis las cannon. But then if you took 3 of them for about 200 points, this is going to cost you, going to chuck out 3 shots at 10. Don't think it's really worth it for that. Yeah, so not too keen on these. For a fast moving element type force, I'd rather go for these kind of units here. And then that's my combat ability locked in these units. And then the shooting, the anti-vehicle, anti-infantry in the bulk of the force. I think that's the route that I'd go down. Last unit then is the Onagar Dune Crawlers. So this it's 90 points to start off with. It's weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4, strength 5, front and side is 12, rear is 11. So immediately your armor's, medium. It's pretty good. Initiative 2, attacks 1. So these are not to get into combat. These are for fire support. And Onagar, the name of one of the Roman catapults, just creating the impression that these sit back and provide fire support. So the question is, what kind of fire can they supply? 3 hull points, so a bit more durability with these. Doctrine imperatives, Crawler. So a model with special rule is never slowed by difficult terrain and automatically passes dangerous terrain, but cannot run. So they are slow, but steady. Field Harmonics. A model with special rule adds 1 to any invulnerable saving throws it makes for its Immentus force field for each other model from the same squadron moving 4. So the Immentus force field, I think, gives you a 6+ invuln save. Immentus force field. Yeah, 6+ invuln. And if you have a squadron, you can take a maximum of 3 of them. So if you have a squadron of 3, Each of them, if you keep them together, each of them then receives a 4+ invulnerable save. So 50% of shots coming through are going to fail to go through to the vehicle. So again, there's durability there with them. They've got searchlights as well. Broad spectrum data TEF, we've seen that. So the standard weapon is, so these are medium toughness, 3 hull points is good, and then they're pretty well protected by this Eminentis force field. And they're only 90 points, so that's good value. How good is this eradication beamer? This roles I want to provide here, I want to provide some good quality fire support for the advancing Legion, and also the other key is there's no flyers with this force. You're going to need to have some kind of anti-flyer capability. Eradication beamer. There's 3 profiles here, and it varies depending on how close you are to the target. And it might be tricky to do that because it forces you into a certain type of shot. So if you're at range 0 to 9, you can have a strength 10 AP1 heavy 1 shot. So that's deadly shot, but you've got to get within 9 inches to do that. And more often than not, you're not going to want to be that close to your opponent. 9 to 18, you can do a strength 8 AP3 heavy 1 blast. That's okay. Again, you've got to get pretty close for that. And then 18 to 36, you can have a strength 6 AP5 large blast shot. So eradication beam is okay, but another way it can constrict you. Say you're about to be assaulted by a horde of gene stealers, they're 6 inches away, well, you're stuck. You can only fire a strength 10 AP1 shot, and again you've got a Land Raider is 24 inches away. All you could fire at him would be a strength 6 AP5 large blast. So I wouldn't say that's particularly good. Let's see what the other weapons are. There are a number of options here, so this will be interesting to see what these work out as. So you can replace eradication beam, and remember it's only 90 points here, so you've got points to play with for upgrades. So you can take a twin linked heavy phosphor blaster. It'll cost you 15 points to do that. Phosphor blaster is range 36, strength 6, AP3, heavy 3, and it has the Luminigan rule. So marine killing, not too bad. It's not too bad. Okay, so you could do that, but for that kind of upgrade, for that kind of points cost, I'd probably just stick with the standard weaponry, because you're not really going to gain too much for that. Then you can take a neutron blaster and Cognis heavy stubber. I think that's the one in the picture here. So the neutron blaster, this is 25 points to take this. So not the heavy stubbers, like it's just a machine gun, but the neutron, the neutron laser is range 48. That's more like it. Nice long range there. Strength 10, AP1, blast, and concussive. Because it's blast, you shoot at something like a Land Raider, it's very unlikely you're going to miss. It's AP1 and strength 10. It's a decent weapon. Or if you're firing at a unit of Terminators, for example, because it's a blast weapon, you're going to be able to hit a number of them. So, yeah, that is a decent weapon. Plus you get your stubber on top. So probably go for them. Wouldn't be as good if it was, say, just heavy one roll of the dice you miss. And if you took a squadron of 3, only 3 shots. But with that blast, that makes it reliable firepower. So that's a decent weapon. Last one is Nicaris Array. Which is here, Nicaris Array. Consists of a twin Nicaris autocannon with built-in Gatling rocket launcher and built-in Daedalus missile launcher. Any or all of these weapons can be fired in the same shooting phase. though all must shoot at the same target. So you can fire the whole lot here. If the twin-link Icaris autocannon uses its interceptor special rule to fire in the enemy turn, the other weapons may still fire. The other weapons may still fire in a subsequent shooting phase, and these can be fired at a different target to that fired by the twin Icaris autocannon. So here's your anti-aircraft here. You can let off the missile launcher, range 48, strength 7, AP2, heavy 1, and Skyfire. So it's decent enough. AP2 is good. Remember, flyers, your average armor is going to be 10, and then on better flyers 11 or possibly 12. So strength 7 is going to be pretty good, and AP2 is good. The Gatling rocket launcher, range 48 again, excellent range. Strength 6, AP4, heavy 5, ignores cover. So if a jink here then is a cover save, I think you're going to ignore the jink if they try to evade. And then Skyfire as well, very, very good. And the twin-linked Icaris autocannon is range 48, strength 7, AP4, heavy 2. Remember, it's twin-linked, it's interceptor and Skyfire. That's a very, very good anti-aircraft setup. Very good indeed. Costs you 35 points, but you're going to be able to chuck out some decent cover for your army from them. If your flyer comes on, remember you've got interceptors, you can get a chance to hit him, but if he does try and take you out, remember you've got your invulnerable save to protect them. So I reckon I'd maybe take 2 squadrons of 3 each, just to make sure you get that 4+ invuln, and then one lot I would do anti-aircraft, so take the Icaris arrays, and then the others I would take the neutron lasers for some long-range fire support. Have them sitting at the back and just blast away and provide covering fire as your Legion advances. And these would keep up quite well, not going to be slowed down, not going to get stuck. Just steady advance from them. So I do rate these. They look quite bizarre, crab-like, but as I'm reading the rules here, they look pretty cool. So that's the units you can take. You do have to be careful about leaving certain units out because it's a small selection anyway. But that kind of sameness and regimented look would match the theme of these anyway, so I don't think it'd be too much of a loss. So you've got formations here, and they've included some. A battle maniple. It forces you to take pretty much a unit of everything, so may not go down that route. And then a war cohort is just 3 of these maniples. That's a huge amount of stuff, so may not go down that route for them. Sicarian Killclade. You have to take 3 Sicarian Ruststalkers and 1 unit of Sicarian Infiltrators. Again, it's forcing you to take up quite a big selection there for them. And then Iron Strider Cavaliers. Again, you're going to have to take 2 units of Sidonian Dragoons and a unit of Iron Strider Ballistari. Leave it in the comments. If you take any of these formations, then leave your comments about them and how effective they are. Probably not going to take... These don't really match the philosophy of the force that I would build. Nice layout there. They are a very atmospheric look to them. They look very, very nice indeed. Just onto the appendix. So there's a couple of special rules. So Doctrine and Imperatives, which is quite an interesting idea here. So at the start of your movement phase, you can choose up to 1 Doctrine Imperative from the list opposite. So it's this list here. You say, I'm going to play whatever one of them. Protector Imperatives will increase the army's abilities in the shooting phase, whilst Conqueror Imperatives will make the army more proficient in the assault phase. Unless otherwise stated, each Doctrine Imperative can only be used once during the game. So you get 1 use only for these, and you gradually use them up if you wish. I think it's going to add some flexibility to your force. Just have a look at them very, very briefly. So, Protector Imperatives. So you can play Hazard Optimization until the start of your next turn. All models in friendly units gain +1 ballistic skill. Shoot BS4, become BS5. Cool. Very, very cool indeed. Till the start of your next turn, if you take Gun Drill Symbiosis, all models and friendly units in Doctrine Imperative Special add 2 to their ballistic skill, but subtract 1 from their weapon skill. So you'll pay a cost there, and then down here you'll add 3 to your ballistic skill, but subtract 2 from your weapon skill. So you've got to weigh it up as you command, as the commander. Am I likely to get in combat? If not, then add on the extra ballistic skill. Conquer imperatives. It's sort of a switch round. All models and friendly units and doctrine imperatives add 1 to their weapon skill, and there's no loss for that. Here it will be +2 weapon skill, but you'll lose 1 in ballistic skill, and then +3 weapon skill, -2 ballistic skill. So I'd only play these if you think you're in control of the game, you understand what's going on and what can potentially happen. But that's handy to have. And again, helpful, I think, if you build an army that the whole army is advancing and firing, because then the whole army gets these bonuses. June Strider we've seen. The units that have that, they're very, very quick. So all that's left really, we've pretty much covered everything there, so just the Warlord traits here. So you select a model to be the Warlord. There is a rule here though. Skitarii Warlord can only roll D6 on the tables in the rulebook, 40k rulebook, or D3 on the Warlord trait below. If your Warlord is Skitarii Vanguard Alpha or Skitarii Ranger Alpha, so that's the infantry based, you can roll D6 on one of the Warlord traits below. Okay, I probably would make him the army leader, so we'll just run through these here. So number 1, reinforced exoskeleton. Warlord has the Eternal Warrior, very good. Artificer armament, nominate 1 weapon carried by your Warlord. That weapon has the Master Crafted special rule. Okay, not bad. You get a reroll. Next one, number 3, Masterwork Bionics. Your Warlord can reroll failed Feel No Pain rolls. That's not bad, but he's only 6+ anyway. Incense Genitorum. Your Warlord has the Shrouded special rule. That is good, especially if it's buried in a unit. That unit's going to get shrouded. Then number 5, a Disciple of the Omniscia. Your Warlord and all friendly units with the Skitarii faction within 12 of him reroll without morale checks, pinning and fear. That's very good. And then Emotionless Clarity. And your Warlord and his unit fire Overwatch, so ballistic skill is counted as being 4 instead of 1. This is not affected by bonuses or penalties. The Doctrine Imperative special rule. That's incredible Overwatch capability for them. So maybe make the Ranger the leader, so that the unit can fire those plasma weapons at BS4 if they get charged. So there's some good ones in there. I probably would roll on that table. No complaints about that one. There. We've been through these. There is actually the Relics of Mars. And we'll look up the costs for them. Again, similar to other codexes. Didn't seem too bad on points. Let's see what you can get for them. So you have to bear in mind, we're probably going to try and equip one of the Vanguard Alpha or Ranger Alpha with these. So Archon's Divinator. If the bearer of Archon's Divinator or any model in the bearer's unit identifies a mysterious objective or deploys or moves into a piece of mysterious terrain, you can choose to reroll the result. Okay, probably wouldn't bother with that, and that would cost you 5 points. Next one is the Omniscient Mask. The bearer of the Omniscient Mask has the Zealot special rule. That is extremely good. If he's in a big unit and make the unit Zealot, that is very good indeed. And that will cost you 20 points. If you have the spare points, I think that's pretty cool. That is very good. A Pater Radium. If the bearer of the Pater Radium is locked in combat with 1 or more enemy units at the end of initiative step 1, each of these units must take a toughness test using the toughness value of the majority of the unit. If the test is failed, the unit takes D6 randomly allocated wounds with no armor saves allowed. So kind of a weird one, that one. You have to remember to use it, but it's quite cool. That will cost you 20 points. Yeah, I'd rather take Omniscient Mask over that. but interesting one, that one. Next one is a phase taser. +2 strength taser, interdimensional electrocution. Model that suffers one or more unsaved wounds from a weapon that has this special rule immediately pass initiative test or be removed from play as a casualty. So it's a nasty sting in the tail to that one, and that will cost you 15 points to take that. With taser though, your opponent's going to get his full armor save, so it's quite unlikely you're going to do anything with that one. Phoenix is range 6, strength 5, AP 2, pistol, poison 3+, Luminigan, and Phosphex. When firing a weapon that's a special roll, successful to hit roll scores 3 hits against a target instead of 1. So, quite good. Cost you 25 points to take that pistol. Okay. There's pretty good ones in here if you're willing to pay the points for it. And then the Skull of Elder Nicola. Once per game, the bearer of the Skull of Elder Nicola can unleash its power instead of firing a weapon. To do so, roll a number of d6 equal to the current turn number. So it's better if you wait till later in the game. The total rolled is the range of the attack in inches. Alright. And all enemy vehicles within range suffer a strength 1 AP hit with Haywire. Okay, again, quite bizarre, 25 points for that. But I'm thinking later on in the game your opponent's not going to have many vehicles left, potentially, so probably wouldn't bother with that one. That's Relics of Mars then. Some interesting ones in there. If you find yourself with some spare points, then some good potential ones in there. The Omniscient Mask, I think, would be the one that I would find most helpful. So that's Codex Skitarii. Interesting faction. If you want something new and fresh, then go for them. May well be tempted to go down the route of doing an army of these. It's been fascinating reading about them, and I think the army is very unique and would be very interesting to collect, to paint, to build, and then to play in a game. And then to have that that philosophy, that Roman army style philosophy, I think would be very interesting, try and build an army around that kind of framework. So there it is, Codex Skitarii. As I said earlier, you can get it from gamingfigures.com at a discounted rate. So check out that website, you can get it from there. But there it is. Leave your comments, be interested, very, very interested to hear if anyone out there already has Skitarii and you've used them in games. Let everyone know how you've got on, and then what units you go for, what upgrades, what battle philosophy you have, and how you would use this faction. It's a new faction, so there's going to be a lot of people very, very interested to hear about how you've actually got on and use them. So there it is, Codex Skitarii. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.